Ladies and gentlemen of YouTube, it's Mr. Timeless, and in today's video I'll be discussing the price of the Xbox One X and just my thoughts on whether I think $499 is a great price where it's going to do very well, or if $499 is too expensive and it's going to end up being a flop, considering the PS4 is priced at $399, even though it is a little bit weaker. So we're going to discuss that right now, so let's get right down to it. I think a lot of people going into Microsoft's E3 event were really hoping that the Xbox One X was going to be priced at $399, including myself, because everyone wanted it to compete very aggressively against the PS4 Pro. I guess one, because we wanted to see Microsoft hopefully catch up a little bit in the sales against the PS4 Pro, and probably in turn make Sony, drop their price to $350 because they can't compete at the same price with the weaker console. So that would have been amazing, but that didn't happen. As we all know, they priced it at $499, and I still think it's a great value, considering if you look at building that same spec Xbox One X in a PC, you're looking at around $1,000. Now, a lot of people say you can match the specs on it with $500. That's almost impossible, because if you're looking at the 4K Blu-ray player alone is $300, then you buy a graphics card, you're looking at another $300, and then all the other components, it ends up being close to $1,000. Maybe you can skimp out on some stuff and it's going to end up being maybe like $800, but you're pretty much getting the worst part just to get the price down as much as you can to match the Xbox One X. So as far as the performance of the Xbox One X, I think it's going to be selling very well, because the performance alone is a huge selling factor for it, and everyone wants to play their third-party games at their best resolutions and at the best frames per second. And instead of playing on the typical medium settings on console, you're going to be playing on high to ultra settings for graphics on the console, and that's something the PS4 can do, or I mean the PS4 Pro. And so for that sole reason, I think that even at $499, it's still going to be a very competitive console. And those critics that are saying it's not going to do very well and you can match a PC, kind of just debunked. You can't really build a PC with those specs. It's going to cost you a whole lot more. So definitely PC at that price, you cannot do 4K. And as far as the PS4 Pro at $399, you're going to get a little bit better performance, but it's not going to be native 4K, while the Xbox One X seems to be able to do native 4K on a lot of AAA games. For example, Assassin's Creed Origins on their E3 stage said it was going to be able to do 4K. I believe HDR, I'm not sure on that one, but or for example, if you look at the interview that an ARC developer had at this year's E3, he was asked if he was going to be giving the game some enhancements for the Xbox One X and also about the PS4 Pro, and we got some interesting comments from him. It was actually pretty intriguing, everything he said about the consoles, because the Xbox One X is apparently going to be able to hit 1080p at 60 frames per second on epic settings, so the graphics are going to look amazing. It's basically the highest settings on the PC is going to be coming to the Xbox One X at 60 frames per second, 1080p. That's really impressive, and I'm kind of glad they didn't try to shoot for 4K 30 frames, because I'd rather them max out all the settings, graphical settings, and put them on epic and then running at 60 frames per second. Now, when he was asked about the PS4 Pro, though, it was going to be only 720p at 60 frames per second. So you're looking at a huge difference in quality, and also not only 720p 60 frames per second, but also it's not going to be running on epic settings. It's going to be running on medium to high settings, which obviously is not as impressive as the Xbox One X. Now, the developer also got interviewed and asked about the performance of the Xbox One X and what he thought about it, and this is what he had to say. He said, "It's amazing. It's basically like epic settings on PC. We're targeting 60 frames per second. We recently introduced variable frame rate, but on Xbox One X with the extra horsepower, you'll notice less variation in your frame rate, even in busy situations." Now, he went on to say about the PS4 Pro that the PS4 Pro also has improved frame rate when compared to PS4. Before the Xbox One X, it was the best console version of ARC, but it's hard to argue with the 6 teraflops. Having the same frame rate in our game isn't really possible. There are a couple of reasons for that. The Xbox One X not only has a faster CPU than the PS4 Pro, it also has a lot more RAM. I'd say there's a 50% performance difference. So he's basically saying that the PS4 Pro doesn't stand a chance in comparison to the Xbox One X performance. Now, that's saying a lot, and I think a lot of people are going to want to pick up an Xbox One X for this sole reason that all third-party games are going to be running better. So in my opinion, I think that the Xbox One X is going to sell very well for that reason, and I know I'm picking one up just for that sole reason of wanting to play all my games at their best possible settings and just performance in general. So Yeah, no, I don't think that the price is too high considering it is more powerful. So they've justified the price, and that was the main thing that Microsoft needed to do, was justify the price of the console by showing everyone that every single game just runs better on it. And even the developers are coming out and saying that, you know, their games are just going to be running better on the Xbox One X because it's just so much better than the PS4 Pro. It's like leagues above the rest. And as far as the ARC developer, I mean, he said it was 50% more performance on the Xbox One X. That's a huge difference. So I think it's going to do really well, and I can't wait to see the NPDs and all that, comparing it to the PS4 Pro. And it's just great to have that option of playing basically like all your games at their highest performance, and like really matching PCs and sometimes even exceeding them for the price, because, you know, at $500 there's no PC that can compete with it. Even like $1,000 PC would, you know, be basically competing with the Xbox One X at $500. So that's impressive. But anyways, guys, yes, I believe that the price is well and it's going to do great. So I'm going to leave it at that, and leave your comments down below on what you think, and just give me your thoughts on it, and make sure you subscribe if you're not already. I'm going to be covering more E3 stuff, and make sure you give this video a like. It helps out the channel, and I will catch you guys later. Peace out.